Once upon a time, in a land of deep forests and gray skies, there lived a husband and wife who had long wished for a child. For years, their home had been silent, filled only with the quiet ache of their unfulfilled hope. But eventually, the good Lord granted their wish, and the woman felt the stirring of life within her. During this time, the couple lived in a modest house that possessed a small window in the back. This window was a source of both wonder and dread, for it overlooked a magnificent garden filled with the most beautiful flowers and herbs imaginable. It was a lush, green paradise, but it was surrounded by a high wall, and no one dared to enter it, because it belonged to an enchantress of great power named Dame Gothel, who was feared by all the world. One day, the woman stood at this window and looked down into the forbidden garden. Her eyes fell upon a bed of the finest, most vibrant rampion, a leafy green vegetable which in the old tongue is called Rapunzel. It looked so fresh and so green that a sudden violent longing seized her. It was not merely hunger, it was a primal, consuming obsession. She felt that if she could not eat of that rampion, she would surely fade away. The craving grew stronger with each passing day. She began to look pale and wretched, her cheeks sunken and her eyes hollow. Her husband, seeing her waste away, became terrified. "What ails you, dear wife?" he asked, holding her frail hands. She replied, her voice trembling. "If I cannot get some of the rampion which grows in the garden behind our house to eat, I shall die." The husband, who loved her more than his own life, resolved to act. He thought to himself, "Let it cost what it will, I must bring her some of that rampion before she dies." He waited until the twilight deepened into the thick darkness of night. Heart pounding against his ribs, he scrambled over the high wall and dropped silently into the enchantress's garden. His hands shook as he hastily grabbed a handful of the green leaves, ripping them from the earth. He climbed back over the wall, breathless, and brought them to his wife. She immediately made them into a salad and ate them with a ravenous greed. It tasted so good to her, so incredibly good, that the next day her longing was not satisfied, but tripled. She told her husband that she would have no peace unless he went once more into the garden. So, in the gloom of the following evening, he climbed the wall again. But as his feet touched the soft earth on the other side, his heart stopped in his chest. There, standing before him, looming tall and terrible in the moonlight, was Dame Gothel. Her face was a mask of cold fury. "How dare you," she hissed, her voice like dry leaves scraping stone, "descend into my garden and steal my rampion like a common thief? You shall pay for this insolence." The terrified husband fell to his knees. "Alas," he cried, "let mercy take the place of justice. I only decided to do this out of necessity. My wife saw your rampion from the window, and she felt such a longing for it that she would have died if she had not gotten some to eat." The enchantress's anger seemed to soften, though her eyes remained sharp and calculating. She looked at the trembling man and made a grim calculation. "If it is as you say, I will allow you to take away with you as much rampion as you wish, but I make one condition." She leaned closer, her shadow falling over him. "You must give me the child which your wife will bring into the world. It shall be well treated, and I will care for it like a mother." In his fear and desperation to escape with his life, the man promised everything she asked. He did not think of the future. He thought only of the present danger. When the time came and the woman gave birth to a daughter, the enchantress appeared immediately, as if summoned by the first cry of the infant. She gave the child the name Rapunzel, after the plant that had cost the girl her freedom, and took her away in her arms, leaving the weeping parents behind. Rapunzel grew to be the most beautiful child under the sun. Her skin was fair, her eyes were deep and knowing, and her hair was like spun gold, radiating a light of its own. However, when she was 12 years old, the age when a girl begins to become a woman, the enchantress shut her into a tower which lay in a forest. This tower was a prison of cruel design. It had neither stairs nor a door, but stood smooth and sheer against the sky. Only at the very top was there a little, narrow window. When the enchantress wished to enter, she stood at the foot of the tower and cried out in a loud, shrill voice,
"Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair! Quickly now, I'm waiting!"
And when she heard the voice of the enchantress, she would unbind her braids, wind them around a hook of the window above, and then the hair fell 20 ells down, nearly 70 feet, and the enchantress climbed up by it. For years, this was the only life Rapunzel knew. She lived above the world, isolated from humanity, with only the birds and the clouds for company. To pass the lonely hours, she would sing,
"Look at the birds soaring high above the trees. I wish I could..."
Her voice was so clear and so hauntingly beautiful that it seemed to silence the forest itself. One day, a king's son was riding through the wood. As he approached the tower, he heard a song which was so lovely that he stood still and listened. It was Rapunzel, who, in her solitude, passed her time in letting her sweet voice resound. The king's son wanted to climb up to her and looked for the door of the tower, but none was to be found. He rode home, but the singing had so deeply touched his heart that he had no peace. Every day he went out into the forest and listened to it. Once, when he was thus standing behind a tree, he saw the enchantress come there, and he heard how she cried,
"Rapunzel, let down your hair! Quickly now, I'm waiting!"
Then he saw how Rapunzel let down her long tresses and how the enchantress climbed up to her. "If that is the ladder by which one mounts, I too will try my fortune," said he. The next day, when it began to grow dark, he went to the tower and cried, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair!" Immediately the hair fell down, shimmering in the twilight, and the king's son climbed up. At first, Rapunzel was terribly frightened when a man, such as her eyes had never yet beheld, came to her.
Whoa, put that down. You don't need that.
Stay back. Don't come any closer.
Oh, and wait until I tell you about the floating lights.
It was absolutely magical! You have to tell me everything!
He spoke with gentleness and reverence, and slowly Rapunzel lost her fear. When he asked her if she would take him for her husband, and she saw that he was young and handsome, she thought, "He will love me more than old Dame Gothel does." So she said yes, and laid her hand in his. "I will willingly go away with you," she said, looking around the small stone room that had been her entire world. "But I do not know how to get down. Bring with you a skein of silk every time that you come, and I will weave a ladder with it. When that is ready, I will descend and you will take me on your horse." They agreed that until that time, he should come to her every evening, for the old woman came by day. The plan was perfect, and the enchantress remarked nothing of this. The romance blossomed in the secrecy of the high tower, and Rapunzel, who had never known love, gave herself to the prince completely. But youth is often careless, and secrets are hard to keep. One day, while the enchantress was visiting, Rapunzel forgot herself. As she was hauling the old woman up, she asked absent-mindedly, "Tell me, Dame Gothel, how it happens that you are so much heavier for me to draw up than the young king's son? He is with me in a moment." The air in the tower turned freezing cold. The enchantress pulled herself onto the ledge, her eyes wide with betrayal and rage. "Ah, you wicked child," cried the enchantress, "what do I hear you say? I thought I had separated you from all the world, and yet you have deceived me." In her anger, she clutched Rapunzel's beautiful tresses, wrapped them twice around her left hand, seized a pair of shears with her right, and snip, snap, they were cut off. The lovely braids lay on the floor like dead snakes, and she was so pitiless that she took poor Rapunzel and dragged her out of the tower into the deep woods and cast her into a waste and desolate land. There, pregnant and alone, Rapunzel was forced to live in great wretchedness and grief. When evening came and the king's son arrived and cried, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair," she let the hair down. The king's son ascended, his heart full of anticipation for his bride. But he did not find his dearest Rapunzel above.
Look at you, powerless! Did you truly believe you stood a chance against me? Your reign is over, little prince. How could you? After everything we've been through, you still choose this path.
I cannot stay here and watch you destroy everything.
The king's son was beside himself with pain, and in his despair he leapt from the tower. He escaped with his life, but the fall destroyed him. He fell into the thick thorns that grew at the foot of the tower. They pierced his eyes, and the world went black. Blind and broken, he pulled himself from the briars. He was alive, but he wished he were not. Thus began his long, dark wandering. His aimless wandering led him to the desolate waste where Rapunzel lived. She had survived, scraping out a meager existence in the wilderness, raising the twin children to whom she had given birth, a boy and a girl. They lived in poverty, but she had kept them alive with the fierce love of a mother. One morning, as the blind prince stumbled through the wasteland, he heard a voice. It was a melancholy sound, a song carried on the wind. He stopped. It was familiar. It pierced through the fog of his memory and touched the old wound in his heart. He went toward it, stumbling, arms outstretched. As he approached, Rapunzel looked up. She saw the ragged, blind man, so different from the handsome youth she had known,
you so much.
But she knew him instantly.
You're here. I can't believe you're finally here.
Hot with the grief of years and the joy of reunion, wet his face. 2 of her tears fell into his eyes, and a miracle occurred. The clouds in his vision cleared, the darkness lifted. He blinked, and for the first time in years, he saw the light of the sun. He saw the face of his beloved Rapunzel, older now and worn by hardship, but beautiful still. He saw the 2 children, his children, standing shyly behind her. He embraced them all, his heart swelling with a joy that washed away the years of suffering. He led them out of the desolate waste and back to his kingdom. His people, who had long thought him dead, received him with great celebration. Rapunzel was welcomed as a princess, and the past suffering became but a dark dream from which they had finally awakened. They lived happily and contentedly for a long time afterward, proving that even the highest walls and the darkest thorns cannot keep true love apart forever.